Greetings, all Toastmasters and guests. Welcome. We are Masters of Evaluation, an advanced and distinguished Toastmasters club. We meet the first and third Fridays of each month at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and here we are now. I'm April, your Sergeant-at-Arms. Our Masters of Evaluation club takes very seriously providing us all with a safe and secure meeting. We want you to know a high level of trust, respect, and honor for each participant is not only encouraged, but required. Masters of Evaluation members are focused on perfecting their speaking, leadership, and evaluation skills, which eliminates any room for personal offense. As Sergeant-at-Arms, it's also my role to share a few practices that'll provide us with a smooth flowing meeting. For example, we ask you to silence your phones. We do want to see you, hello there, unless you are moving around eating or drinking. If so, do remember to turn your video off for that period of time and then turn it back on because we want to see how lavishly you pay attention to what's happening. In order to make our meeting even more interactive, we ask everyone to keep your video and attention on. Finally, if you're serving in a speaking or functionary role, we ask you to rename yourself right now so that we can identify what role you'll be serving today. These few recommendations will ensure we all have an enjoyable, comfortable, and memorable visit together. Again, please remember to turn your phone back on once our meeting is concluded so all your fans can get in touch with you. It is now my pleasure to bring to our virtual stage our dynamic, always intentional, fun-loving, and mischievous elected president of Masters of Evaluation, John White. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was so proud of myself. I was just multitasking, hearing my introduction and sending the link to the Toastmasters of the day. Yay, John. There's a day I would have just jumped off the meeting and gone on to the next thing. It's good to see everyone. We have a full agenda. We get to induct members. We get to hold a little officer election business. But I don't know, maybe perhaps it's old news, but you can never utter this phrase or make this announcement too many times. Once again, fellow Toastmasters and Masters of Evaluation, MoE is President's Distinguished. Unmute yourself. Congratulate yourself. You all contributed to that.
Yay.
You earned an educational award, or you just helped provide this environment that allowed our club to succeed. A huge, huge accomplishment. We're not even in business 3 years. We have a 3-year track record. That's how good we are. Anyway, congratulations on that. Before we head into the business, I wanted to start with that. I wanted to say hi to some of our guests. I don't always pick you up, so if I miss you, please say something. And the screen's getting small. Sheila LaChance, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you, John. Good to be here today. And congratulations on all your accomplishments with this club.
Great. Welcome. And you can join our club anytime and our meeting anytime and be, I know you have success in your life, but if you want to go the quantum package, if you're tired of just gold, you want platinum and quantum, we're here for you. Trudy, how are you? If you could unmute.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm doing well. I'm really happy to be here. And I was trying to join your club because I want to be a member, but it didn't happen for me yet. But I'd like you to know that I will join the club.
That is great news.
Yay, Trudy.
The day is just getting better and better. Thank you for that.
And yeah.
All else is well? Yes, sounds like it is. Celia, is that right?
Celia, it's very, very close to correct.
Say it one more time.
Celia.
Sia. Like see you later. Okay. For my mnemonic. I know you're
Celia with an L.
I know it's a mixed message. I want you to be a member. I'm not saying see you later. It's a mnemonic device, not a direct message. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very, very nice. It's nice to be here with you. I have been invited by Tamara. Thank you, Tamara, for inviting me. She's a member in my other club, and I am happy to come and visit you all the way from Greece. And yes, Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. I think that's all of our guests, is it not? I covered everyone. Welcome. Baku, how are you? Let's move on to the new member inductions, which we streamlined a little bit based upon Pat Caslin's feedback in the past. I think we know the outcome of the vote. I believe that we will say that Eunice Downing Jackson and Pamela Brody get our vote. Oh, before I do that, Anne, a late arrival. You are a guest, Anne. Welcome. How did you find us?
Hello, I found you through the internet and a recommendation from my teacher.
Welcome. We're just starting the meeting. We'll get to speaking and stuff. We're handling a little business. One day this could be you. We're inducting new members. We're inducting Eunice Downing Jackson and Pamela Brody. I know that the club will unanimously approve them. If not, feel free to be that jerk to stand up and say, I have a problem with them. Go ahead. It's a democratic process. No pressure. I say that not to pressure you, but I know the quality of these candidates. So let us go through, if we shall.
Mr. President, we do have another guest.
Shine.
Yes.
Shine, unmute
Shine.
yourself. Let us see you shine. Well, how did you come to find about us?
Good evening. Sorry, my name is Shino. I've attended. Like once 2 years ago, I was invited by DTM Muriel Shabazz. I was hoping I could join with another friend who is also a DTM somewhere out of Washington, but I've not been able to track her. Sorry, time management has been. I've been trying to join since 3 o'clock. I didn't calculate the time difference well. I'm calling in from Nigeria.
Well, welcome. We work on public speaking, leadership, evaluations, and time management. This just in. Pronounce your last name for me, please.
Sorry, I'm going to try and see if I can rename myself so that you can see the names, my former names properly.
Okay.
I'll try and do that in a minute. All right.
It's not you, it's me, but thank you for your patience.
I appreciate it.
Muriel, have we missed any guests that you introduced or invited? We covered the whole front? Okay, great.
It looks like we're all covered.
Great. I appreciate your, every now and then I miss that. So we will now go on to the induction. Oh my goodness, what happened to it?
Can I ask a question? Do you have an agenda?
Do I?
Yeah, this is Trudy. I just want to know if you have an agenda.
Trudy, it's in the chat.
Okay, I'm looking for it. Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, okay, here we go. I was complimenting myself in technology early. Okay, we are now doing a Toastmasters promise. Eunice Downing Jackson and Pamela Brody. You can both show yourself, and I am going to read
We lost
what you are going to.
We lost Pamela. Sorry. I think she's coming back in.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, how did you unpin?
Oh, I went from my phone to my computer. So
There you go. I apologize, Mr. President.
No, that's all right. And I'm not seeing you because I'm looking at what I want to read. So it feels like it's the induction that won't happen. But as in president, I insist. The people have spoken, and we will induct these people. Darn it. He swore. Okay, so I'm going to do the promises of Eunice Downing Jackson and Pamela Brody. At the end, I will ask you individually if you agree to that. And at the end, there will be two things that we as a club agree to do. So first, we're going to cover the members agreement. As a member of Toastmasters International and MoE, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability based on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to grow and learn, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits of Toastmasters membership, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters educational recognition programs, and finally, to act within Toastmasters' core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. I ask you, Eunice Downing Jackson, do you agree to that?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. That's exciting news. Pamela Brody, I present you the same question.
It is a hell yes for me.
Ooh, I love it. That's conviction. All right, members, you know that we answer how we need to answer. Do you agree to help Eunice Downing Jackson and Pamela Brody on their journey through the Toastmasters program and to provide positive and constructive feedback, encouragement, and a safe place to practice and grow?
Hell yes.
If I'm brought up on charges, that's because I was just emulating Pamela Brody. I saw her in a contest and I said, one day I want to be like her. Okay, we've handled all of that. We're now moving on. As you know, we're at the end of the Toastmaster year, and we always have to plan for succession, whether it's a successful company or a Toastmaster group. So we, at the end of the year, we line up, well, I don't want to steal this man's thunder. He's immediate past president, and he's at the head of the I always forget this, the club leadership committee. It's my pleasure to turn it over to Mr. Ryan, David Ryan, who will take over. Mr. Ryan?
Thank you, John. So as immediate past president, I serve as the chair of the club committee for Masters of Evaluation. The two other official members being Vicky and April, both on the current committee. But I should say before I go any further, this is the entire committee has been active in engaging the membership to solicit nominations for these roles, right? So, but I'm pleased to announce today that the committee has set forward the following members who have committed to serve on the executive board of MoE when selected. They are, for president, Sandra Savage; for vice president of education, Judith Ferber; for Vice President of Membership, Muriel Shabazz; for Vice President of Public Relations, Shawnte Howard; for Secretary, John White; for Treasurer, Victoria Trebosh; and for Sergeant at Arms, Tamara Evans. So the nominations are not closed. Any member in good standing can run for any position for which they're qualified, and qualified members can run for more than one office. The elections will take place at our next meeting, which is scheduled for May 17th. So in 2 weeks' time, same place. And the officers then will be inducted into their positions in early July 2025 when the new Toastmasters year begins. So with that, I'm going to hand back to our president, John. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to that election. But before we get to that in the new year, I want to thank all the current board members that have helped manage and oversee the club. It's a great honor to serve in that capacity. So with that, we now jump into the meat of the meeting. We have a Toastmaster, I don't want to steal her theme, but that's part of what we do is we have themes for the meeting. And I understand that I was an inspiration behind the theme of this meeting. I don't want to steal her words, but it's my pleasure. I don't know what her educational designation are. She keeps on going up. She's soon to be a DTM. She's currently club growth director, and she's a candidate for program quality director. Yes, she is a thing. Shawnte Howard.
Yay.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. And good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is Masters of Evaluation Day. I get so excited every other Friday for our meetings because I know they're all going to be jam-packed. I know I'm going to learn something from each and every one of you. And I know there are going to be some amazing stories that we will hear. I am privileged to be your Toastmaster for today. Today's theme I chose is mental health awareness. As many of you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I wanted to definitely highlight that in our meeting today, because millions of Americans or people across the globe deal with mental health issues. In fact, the statistics are that 23% of all people have experienced a mental health challenge, and 6% of people have experienced a serious mental health challenge like bipolarism and other disorders. So what does that mean for us? That means that there are at least 6 people in this meeting today that have experienced a mental health challenge, and at least 1 person in this meeting that has experienced a serious mental health challenge. Now, I'm not asking you to out yourself. I'm just asking you to think about that. I will put a number in the chat for those who do experience it and need help. But I just wanted to highlight that today and just know that there is help here for you if you are somebody that is experiencing challenges. So with that, let's get into the meat of our meeting today. For the benefit of our guests with Toastmasters meetings, we have 3 sections I can't talk this morning. Each Toastmasters meeting is broken up into 3 individual parts. We have what I like to call the perfect meal for Toastmasters. We have our appetizers. As appetizers, I like to think of our appetizers as our table topics. It's just a little bit that gets us excited, gets us not necessarily filled, but it's just that little bit of filling that we need to get us started in our meal. Then we have our entrees. Our entree I look at as our prepared speakers. We have a number of amazing speakers today that are going to absolutely fill us up with so much information and great knowledge. And then finally, we have our dessert, that sweet spot. And that is going to be our evaluations. Our evaluations are what we wait for, what we hope for at the end of our meeting, because that's how Toastmasters get paid, is through evaluations. But also we know that the desserts are probably one of my favorite parts of the meal. So with every great leader, we can't do this alone. I have an amazing general evaluator that is going to assist me in our meeting today. Sandra Savage, would you let us know what your role and duties are for today?
I like being dessert. And I have a great team that is going to help me make that today, starting with, and we're not going to go into deep description of the roles because we're all advanced Toastmasters. We know them. But Harold G., you probably have the most important job of the evening, which is keeping us on track. And if you could just demonstrate your lighting for us, and if you let us know if you do not have speech lengths from anyone, and we'll make sure you have them.
All Toastmasters, every Toastmaster has a certain speech parameter. You speak within a certain time period. For table topics, you have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. At 1 minute, you will see the green light. At 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, the yellow light. 2 minutes, red light. You have 30 seconds to wrap it up. And then if you have a speech and you're speaking from 5 to 7 minutes, at 5 minutes, green light. At 6 minutes, yellow light. 7 minutes, you have red light, and you have 30 seconds to wrap it up. Now, if you're speaking even longer, because you're going to have to pay attention, I may not be paying attention. Tell me the length of your speech. Don't assume I know it. You say, I'm going to take extra insurance. I'm going to tell him how long I'm going to speak, and I will tell you the time, how I will time you. Have a wonderful meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Harold. Next, the part I enjoy the most is expanding my vocabulary. And to help us do that today is Jasper with a word of the day and what he wants from each of us today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And earlier in the meeting, I heard President John offer a gold membership and, is it quantum membership? Was that Quantum? Is that right? Quantum membership. Just hearing the enthusiasm of our new members, they deserve that upgrade. Looking at today's meeting, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, our word of the day is well-being. Well-being. And the definition is the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. Well-being. And my challenge today is for each person in this room to use it at least twice. And for grammarian, I will be on the lookout for creative phrases or creative uses of the English language. And I will be quizzing your listening skills later in today's meeting. And I'm going to request screen share access from our Zoom master. And looking forward to today's meeting, I look forward to supporting your well-being. Back to you, General Evaluator or Toastmaster Shawnte.
Let me just finish up by saying that at the end of our meeting, we will hear from each of our evaluators and get a report. But for those of you who have not visited with us before, one of the things that we are very proud of is our evaluation skills and constantly trying to improve them. As Shawnte said, we're paying you as a Toastmaster to give us your feedback through your eyes and your ears. So we have some very specific things that we look for. And then we also, when we do table topics, have a very unique opportunity for everybody to get involved in those as well, in not only talking, but evaluating. So Shawnte, let's get started, shall we?
Let's get started. Thank you so much for that, my co-host for today, Madam General Evaluator. Let's get started on our meal. Now, we do have a little bit of adjustments on our meal because we can do that. We're Toastmasters, so we're going to start with our entrees, and then we're going to do our appetizers after. So to kick us off with our entree today, we have an amazing speech by Tamara Evans. But before we hear from Tamara, I would love to hear from her evaluator about what she is going to be looking for today. So Eunice, what are you looking for today in Tamara's speech?
Well, today I am looking for, in reference to Tamara's speech, I am looking for the energy. I am looking for how the entertainment that comes through and how she engages with the audience and her leadership style. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Eunice.
Shawnte, I am sorry to interrupt you, but could we have the timer to show up on somewhere because it's really hard to see in this group where it is. So please show Harold
Absolutely.
His hands up.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Judith. Harold, could you please use the raise your hand icon reaction? Let me use the proper terminology. Raise your hand reaction, which is nope, that's clapping, but I'm happy to see you too. At the bottom of your screen, you're going to see the words react. Yes, there you go. Let's just keep that up. Thank you so much, Harold. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Tamara's speech was originally prepared for a table topic, a tall tales contest. So its main purpose is to entertain. I am excited. So please welcome to the virtual lectern, Tamara Evans with To Take or Not to Take. Tamara Evans, you have the floor.
To take or not to take? How do you like my Shakespearean title? You probably think, what is it she's going to take? 40 wings? A rain check? A bull by the horns? Just be patient and listen to the answer. Do you know the game called True or False, where you say things about yourself for the others to figure out which one is false? Practicing leadership by example, I myself played this game with my students, showing them how to make their statements less obvious and harder to guess. I usually camouflage mine so skillfully that when I say I have visited another planet. Nobody believes it, but that is true. The aliens secretly installed their electronic bugs in the classrooms of the school I worked at. Impressed by my innovative leadership style, which is optimistic, pursues excellence, encourages creativity, inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. They invited me to their planet called Stricter Room. So I traveled there, spent a few days, and even visited one of the aliens' Toastmasters clubs. They were just having an evaluation contest and invited me to participate. Having some experience from Masters of Evaluation, I agreed. They were doing it remotely. And for some roles, they were using robots. As a member of Masters of Evaluation, I am used to hearing excellent speeches. There is always a problem finding things to improve. I expected the same level from the aliens. So prior to the contest, in my mind, I prepared some beautiful metaphors and quotes to use for praise. However, listening to the target speech, I realized that there would be no need for those. The speaker was also a robot, programmed to make a mediocre speech with confusing content and a vague purpose, evidently to make the contestants focus on delivery, ignoring content. I started getting nervous. All my hope now was for the 5 minutes to work on my notes in silence. In silence. Every minute, the robot supervisor was interrupting the flow of my thoughts by announcing loudly how many minutes and seconds are left. Finally, he asked us to put our pencils down and our hands up like captives. No more writing. It looked ridiculous. I could hardly keep a straight face and turned this body movement into a dance to conceal humiliation. The next room deprived us of a chance to read our notes. But even that was not enough. They wanted to control our thoughts. The robot supervisor imposed a small talk on us, trying to distract us and prevent us from tuning in. Those simpletons aliens couldn't imagine that their guests from the planet Earth would easily outsmart them. As a successful, experienced leader, I found a unique way to demonstrate my optimistic attitude and created the opportunity to overcome obstacles. They didn't know that in my youth, I studied in the circus studio and learned to write holding a pencil with my toes. Not calligraphy, of course, but legible. Later in the yoga class, I was shown a magic point under the knee. You press it, and a second pair of eyes pops up on your heel. Do you know what I did as a protest against humiliation hidden in their rules? I modeled the behavior for others to emulate. Waiting for my turn, I scribbled the outline of my future comments on a paper dropped on the floor, read it with the eyes on my heel, and even practiced delivering it in my mind, in spite of being distracted. How? At the spy school, which I also attended to become a good leader, I learned the technique of spreading attention equally among several things done simultaneously. As a result, the alien audience was impressed by my presentation. I was even given a certificate of honor. Moreover, I received an invitation to participate in the interplanetary evaluation contest. On the one hand, I was happy to represent the masters of evaluation on a cosmic level. On the other hand, what if the rules there will be even stricter than on the planet stricter rule? That's why I am still sitting on the fence to take or not to take part in the interplanetary contest. That is the question. What would you do? Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow, thank you so much, Tamara. That definitely built up my well-being today. If we could please, Mr. Timer, put 90 seconds on the clock for our guest. This is the time where you can send Tamara some love notes in the chat and let her know how you enjoyed her speech, any feedback that you have for her speech. Please send that to her now in the chat. 90 seconds, please. Thank you so much, Mr. Timer. Next up, for the well-being of our group, we are going to have our speaker number 2, which I am excited for, John Graham. But before we hear from John Graham, let's hear from his evaluator. Ray Sweeney, what are you looking for today in John's speech?
Thank you, Shawnte. Fellow Toastmasters, what we are all looking for today is watch out for members' awareness of their intentional and unintentional movement and body language. That includes distracting movements as well as movements that enhance the speech. So the purpose of this project is to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance the speech. Now, let me tell you a little bit about John. John joined Toastmasters back in 2017 and came back to us in 2021. He's currently a DTM and is a President's Distinguished Area Director in District 1 Area E2. He has a BA from UCI and an MBA from USC, and it's easy to say as 1, 2, 3. His favorite quote is leadership and communication are indispensable to each other. John F. Kennedy. Back to you, Shawnte.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I'm so excited to hear all about John's speech, which is entitled, ladies and gentlemen, The Monkey and the Crow. John Graham, The Monkey and the Crow, you have the floor.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Do you have a favorite pet? A cat, a dog, maybe a cephalopod? They're critical to our well-being, aren't they? Did any of you have a monkey? You know our genetics are about 98% identical? When I was 14 or 15 years old, my best friend, Mark Satzman, ran to my door and told me to follow him on my bike. He took me to the Long Beach Village pet shop, and I was introduced to Bamba. She was not so beautiful. She had been neglected and lost hair, but she was a South American woolly monkey. I fell instantly in love. It took my life savings to buy her. Then I had to tell my parents. I convinced my mom, but when my dad came home, he said, You bought a what? Says something about them both, that we kept her at all. A South American woolly monkey. She had an indoor cage, so my dad built a 20-foot outdoor cage and a doggy door in between. She could join us whenever she wanted and use swings and ropes and even a doghouse outside when she needed to for privacy. At times, she would sit with us on the couch and watch TV. We became her troop, and she became family. She regained her hair and well-being and became a beautiful monkey. Her previous owner had taught her to wear clothes and use a toilet. So my two younger sisters treated her like an animated Barbie. She was extremely intelligent, and when she wanted to go for a walk, she would hook your hand, in her tail and pull you to the door. Made you wonder who was walking whom. She was the most wonderful pet a young teenager could have. Of course, my responsibilities were to clean the cages, to feed her, to clean up after her messes. Oh, monkeys make lots of messes. I think it has something to do with the opposing thumb and maybe the prehensile tail. When she got out, she was my responsibility. She could open chips, cereal, crackers, nuts, peanut butter. She could open the refrigerator door and go after the milk and eggs. Forget about bananas. She was like a normal teenager. One time she got into a neighbor's garage, and when she was done, he didn't like the color. So how did I catch her when she got out? A monkey does not go just east, west, north, south. No, the most comfortable direction for a monkey is up. So I got very good at climbing trees and jumping rooftops, or so I thought. She would watch me climb, get to within inches of catching her, and then mysteriously she would grab a couple of branches, slide down and be back down on the ground, looking up at me, laughing. I could hear her thought, something like, clumsy, dumb human. In reality, when she got out, I had to tempt her with food and wait until she wanted to come back. She liked this, though. She came back. When you walk a monkey, you have to think differently. She might wind up in awkward places, like a car at the top of a stoplight. I remember one time when motorists were astonished and amused when they looked up at the red light and saw it turn monkey. Crows are also very intelligent. They can recognize specific people and things and even carry a grudge for generations. Have you ever seen two crows develop a strategy? Like when they want to team up on a squirrel? One crow drives the squirrel from its tree, and the second crow dives to intercept it. Is that in an NFL playbook? One day, Bamba decided to take me for a walk to Pan American Park. She took my hand in her tail. I attached her leash, and we went. Now, neighbors had told me that a crow had been swooping down on little kids in that park, but I had never been bothered. And we walked through the park. The crow, thinking I assumed that Bamba was a little hairy kid, swooped down from a local perch, once and then twice, clipping Bamba. Then the crow landed on a swing set with its back to us. Wrong move, Mr. Crow. I don't know exactly what happened, but in an instant, Bamba mounted the swing set and had a hold of the crow's feet. The crow was saying, ah, ah, ah. Bamba was going, and John was holding the leash going, whoa. Well, that's the story of my favorite pet. Thank you. I have one other thing I want to show you here. When I ran this story past DALL-E, the AI program that generates images, this is what it gave me. Thank you all.
Thank you, John. That story was amazing for our well-being today. So we appreciate you. Thank you for sharing. Mr. Timer, may we please have 90 seconds on the clock so that we can all send John some words of love, feedback, and inspiration. Thank you.
Your time is up.
Thank you so much. And now for our final piece of our dinner tonight, we have another amazing speech by our newest member, Pamela Brody. But before we hear from Pamela, may we know a little bit about what you are going to be looking for, Vicky, as her evaluator.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Our hella yes, Pamela Brody, is going to be talking about her well-being today. And she's going to do the hero's journey. So I'll be listening for the arc of the story to make sure I can follow it, to make sure I understand where she begins, where the story peaks, and where she finishes. And I look for structure. Madam Toastmaster.
That is absolutely great. Thank you so much. Pamela, today is a very special day for Pamela and her family as her daughter Layla turns 10. Happy birthday, Layla. Pamela welcomes all advice in succeeding through the preteen years. She is definitely going to need a little help because preteens, yes, we know. Zooming in from Porter Ranch, known for gas leaks, earthquakes, and of course, ET, Pamela is thrilled to have found this group and looks forward to up-leveling her speaking from our masterful evaluations. Pamela is a health and transformation coach who has taken her greatest struggle and turned it into her greatest contribution. And today, she shares with us her origin story. So please welcome to the virtual lectern, Pamela Brody with If You Gain Weight, Boys Won't Like You. Pamela, you have the floor.
What do you do to protect yourself? How well do you forgive yourself? Well, if you'll come with me, I'd like to take you on a journey of how I protected myself and then learned to forgive myself. When I was 12 years old, my mother said to me, "If you gain weight, boys won't like you." Now, Mom thought that was a great idea to inspire me to want to lose weight to look good in my bat mitzvah dress. What she didn't realize was that just 2 months before, I was sexually violated by the youth director's son at the temple slumber party. Everybody talks about fight or flight, but what we don't talk about is the other F word, freeze. And that's just what I did. When he invaded my sleeping bag, I froze. In that moment, I thought more about him than I did myself. I mean, who would I say anything to? His mother was supposed to be the one to protect me. I just numbed myself out. And in that moment, my self-esteem was shattered. I could no longer count on myself. I put his feelings ahead of my own uncomfortableness and safety and security and future of my sexuality. So when my mother said to me, if you gain weight, boys won't like you. Well, I thought that was a great idea. So over the years, I packed on the pounds for self-protection. By the time I graduated high school, I was almost 200 pounds. Over the decades, I tried to lose weight. I lost a little bit, but I could never really let go of my protection. And then it happened. 2019. You guys remember it? There was a new movement in town. Remember? I'll give you a hint. Harvey Weinstein was on the case. Me Too was happening, and women were speaking up. And finally, people were listening. So my friend and I got to talking, and we shared our stories. They were very similar. And we made a pact that we would write a letter to the boys who stole our innocence. And this time, we would send it. You see, I had written that letter so many times, and it just sat in my drawer right next to my bed. But this time, with my friend in tow, I sent it. And when I put that letter in the mailbox, it was so freeing. It's like letting go of a ton of bricks. But what I didn't expect is that he would call. Hello? And then he said what I was waiting for 3 decades. I'm sorry. Now, this was the moment. If I accepted his apology, I'd have to rewrite my entire story. It took me a moment. I forgive you. And I forgive myself. You see, those words came darting out of my mouth so fast. It wasn't him I needed to forgive. It was me I needed to forgive. It was me for not saying anything decades before. It was me for not relying on myself, for blaming myself at 12 years old like I could have known more or said more. I was beating myself up. And forgiving myself was like a domino effect of all of my decisions in the past. The way I thought of men, the way I thought of my future, it was so freeing. Maya Angelou says, the best gift you can give yourself is forgiveness. I found that to be true. Now that I forgave myself and I could count on myself again, I didn't need to hold on to this baggage. I found a program and I followed it. And I got back to my bat mitzvah weight without the need to protect myself anymore. Everything opened up. I could count on me again. I started asking for more things. I started realizing that the job I was in did not appreciate me and never would. I started my own business. I started helping other people lose weight. I started being happier. Forgiveness truly was the greatest thing that I could ever do for myself, my family, the people I serve, the community. Where are you protecting yourself? I'd like you to join me on this journey. How well have you learned to forgive yourself? Join me in forgiving yourself, watching your entire world open up in a whole new way. Back to you, table. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Pamela. That was absolutely amazing. And I think I could speak for everybody to say that we're happy that your well-being now is just, thank you for sharing. Mr. Timer, can you please put 90 seconds on the clock so that we can add some words of love, wisdom, and feedback to Pamela?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Harold G. I thought you were calling me on the phone. I was excited. I was looking at my phone. I said, is he calling me? See, for my well-being, Harold, I just wait for your phone calls because that's what I need to get me through the day.
Oh, I didn't know your telephone number.
Okay, it's all right. I'll give it to you later. Well, next up, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you're not too full from your entrees because we have some amazing appetizers coming to you now with our table topics section. And I would love to introduce our table topics master so that she can explain what she's going to be doing today and give us some amazing table topics. So please welcome to the floor, Judith Ferber.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster, or Toastmaster, Shawnte. Table topics, as most of you know, it's about 1 to 2 minutes of impromptu speaking. In this particular session, we also have a snap evaluation, which I have to remind the timer because I can't remember. How long is a snap evaluation? 30 seconds? Is that it? Anyone? 1 second?
30 seconds, I believe.
Okay, 30 seconds. So that's what we're going to do. I have prepared a whole bunch of things about mental wellness, and I will share this with you. We'll try to get everybody involved in this. Anybody who doesn't want to speak besides April, let me know. And let me find this thing here somewhere. Where is it? Here we go. Mental health. So there we go. Our first, let me get myself out of this thing here. Our first is, no amount of anxiety can change the future. No amount of regret can change the past. So Pat, this is your quote.
You know, I would completely agree with that, Madam Topics Master, because I have this idea that hope and fear flip sides of the same emotion, and fearing things that never come to pass is such an enormous waste of time in our life. The difficulty with anxiety is anxiety doesn't have an object, because we're not anxious about something, we're just anxious in ourselves. And anxiety is something that is very, very difficult to deal with because of that. But the knowledge that you cannot change your future and that you can do nothing about the past except have regrets, it doesn't do you any good, and it doesn't lift you up, and it doesn't help you to grow as a person or as an individual, and it doesn't help you to become who you truly are. You know, so you do need to look to the future in a way that's positive. I'm not a big believer in looking to the future with hope, because I think that gives agency over what happens to you, the outcomes that happen to you, to somebody else. So there's no point in worrying about the future. The future will be what it is. You cannot prepare yourself for everything that can happen. But what you can do is you can position yourself to be resilient. You can position yourself to grow as an individual. You can position yourself to be in a place where you've got friendships, where you've got the resources and the mental strength to be able, as Pamela did, to be able to overcome the difficulties that you've faced by finding ways to make yourself stronger and to make yourself better capable of coping. No amount of regret will change the past. So think about the things that you did, you will never regret. The things that you didn't do, you may always regret them. So don't be afraid to do things and try things, because the last thing you want to do is end up at the end of your days with regrets, because then it's too late to do anything about them. I'll leave you with a final quote. Confucius said, "We have two lives. Our second one begins when we realize we only have one." And when you realize that you only have one, you will stop yourself having regrets, because you'll do things about that. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Pat. Jasper, you are on our snap evaluation of evaluating Pat's speech.
Pat, you would be the person I would talk to if I was having a moment. I mean, the way you were straightforward about saying, anxiety, there's no purpose to it. Fear, there's no purpose to it. You're going to have to look to the future with just positivity in mind. And I like how you had that callback to Pamela in sharing a specific example. And you shared that doing things, when you do them, there's no regret, because if you don't do it, you'll have that regret. And I like how you ended with the quote at the end. So great job, Pat.
Thank you, Jasper. And the second one, it's just a bad day, not a bad life. Sheila, are you up on this? Sheila,
Sure.
chance?
Certainly.
Okay.
It says, breathe. It's just a bad day, not a bad life. Our previous speaker talked about future and the past. This, to me, is about the present. If you breathe in the present, deep breath in, hold it for a few seconds, and then breathe out. What we're doing is breathing the good in and breathing the bad out, and actually visualizing that good in and then bad out, slowly, slowing things down to your breath. It's so important. Breathing is also something that I experienced a lack of when I was experiencing a divorce, and it was very traumatic for me, and I developed asthma. I couldn't breathe. And I ended up hospitalized not once, but twice. My thought was at the time that I was so stressed out, I couldn't breathe because I had no history of asthma. They did all these skin tests, all these allergy tests. They could not find anything wrong per se. Well, I knew, and God knows, that it was the stress on my body had stopped my breathing. There was nothing else to explain it. So I was on steroids for a while, and then one doctor took me off and said, very dangerous to be on steroids the rest of your life. So I was able to breathe again, slowly going off that drug. And breathing has been so paramount in my life now. I practice Qigong and meditation and spirituality with my Jesus and my God, and allowing myself to breathe. So breathe is it's just a bad day, not a bad life. Take the moment, take the present, take away the past, take away the future, and be right here in the moment.
Thank you so much. Baku, could you please do a quick evaluation of Sheila's speech?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. I appreciate it. I felt like I had just come into yoga class and allowed me to just breathe and release. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for also sharing your personal stories, just so we can see how you utilize breathing to get you through your circumstances of asthma and things that came along with that. So I just really appreciate you by just taking us all through that, allowing us to just breathe. I feel like my well-being is a little bit better this morning after hearing all these stories and talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Baku. And here is our next one. You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you. Trudy, this is your quote. Is she there somewhere?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
You do not have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you. That is so right, because your thought can take you into so many directions, sometimes misleading, leading you down the wrong path. So if you're constantly afraid and constantly thinking of wrong things, you might go down the wrong road. So you should relax and allow yourself to live for the moment and don't think into the future, and allow yourself to see within yourself what your capabilities are. If you don't do that, your thoughts will control you, regardless of how you feel and how you think. So you should do things in your life that can bring you to calmness, such as things that I do that bring me to calmness when I don't have my thoughts controlling me, is to go into my relaxed environment. And my relaxed environment for me in my life has always been outside in nature, in the garden, and hiking a lot, and just breathing in the fresh air and working in the grounds and allowing myself to enjoy God's gift that He has given me. So therefore, my thoughts are not controlled, but I allow myself to enjoy the wonders that I have before me in this world. So I don't have any other good things, like good comments to make on this, but this is how I see myself not being controlled by my thoughts. I just let myself go. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Let's see. Let's get David Thompson with a quick evaluation of Trudy's speech.
And so fluently. I was very impressed. I loved your voice. It was steady and clear. You spoke a lot about you, and immediately you were speaking about you to me in the audience. I did feel that perhaps you could have included yourself, a little earlier, because I was wondering about whether this was relevant to you yourself. But when you did, you brought in yourself gently and clearly as well. So perhaps just added a phrase like, come with me on our journey together, would have made it even clearer. But congratulations on your first speech with us. I was very, very impressed indeed. And please continue with us in such good style. Thank you.
Thank you. The best way out is always through, says Robert Frost. John, this is your quote.
John White, I take it? Judith, there's two Johns. John White?
No, John White, sorry.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I like this one. I believe it's true, although I've always been one in earlier life, when I see signs of the storm, I turn around and try to run, but the storm always goes faster. So I definitely see the logic in that, and I've appreciated all the responses we've got. I abide by it. I like, though, or wish we would acknowledge the emotion of it and the difficulty, some compassion. Yeah, so go through it for sure. It's the best way to do it, but buckle up. It's going to be rough, and through repeated experiences in life, you'll get better at it. But I guess you have to go against your impulse to fly or freeze, as Pamela said, and actually just to fight it. So I like Robert Frost. He said he got the two paths, right? So I guess he's saying in this instance, there's a single path through it. I agree. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Let's find somebody. David Ryan, would you do a quick evaluation of John's speech?
John, You had me second guessing how convinced you were at the very start when you said, I believe it's true. You didn't sound it like you believed it's true. If you're going to say you believe it's true, own it. And I believe it's true. Right? That's my one suggestion. I felt like I wasn't quite sure what you were referring to. It was a little bit nebulous. So maybe sort of naming the challenge or something that we're facing would have helped me sort of kind of get more on board with your speech. Back to you, Judith.
Thank you. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving, said Martin Luther King Jr. So let's see who will take this quote. Let's see, Jasper.
You want to be in the best in the world? You have to take action. I mean, there are so many of us. You see this? This is my phone. So many of us are just staring down for minutes, hours, days, months, years. That doesn't lead to anything. We have to remember to improve our well-being and become successful. We need to put our distractions down, stay focused, because that's how you gain success. If you want to be something and be the best, let's look forward and take action. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you. Let's see the quick response. And Bitain, would you like to be part of this? You muted? Yes.
Yes. Is it possible that I speak next time, or
Oh yes,
just to
absolutely,
get
absolutely.
familiar with?
Yes,
Yeah,
of
thank
course.
you.
So we can let Sandra do a quick response to this.
Well, perseverance is what comes to mind on this. And Jesper, he dove right in. He wasn't ambiguous. He was persistent in dealing with the answer. And we all need perseverance, especially, and let's recognize it this month with Mental Health Month, on being able to not only find the wherewithal within ourselves, but also in each other's. And Jasper is such a good communicator and connector with other people that came through in his words. And I was getting ready for my next role, so that's all I have to say. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So I was told this was my last question. Thank you everyone for being part of Table Topics.
Thank you so much, Judith. Your questions were absolutely amazing and timely and helped us explore our well-being for today. So we appreciate you for that. Thank you so much. And now it's time for the desserts. Up next is Sandra Savage, who is going to serve us something sweet. Sandra, you have the floor.
Well, with the analogy of dessert, we all love looking at cookbooks and pictures of desserts, but we can't taste them. And if you ask artificial intelligence to give you feedback on your speech, all it's going to do is basically reiterate. So we need to go 3D here, folks. We need to taste the frosting. And so I'm going to ask each of our evaluators today to make sure that we get the full experience through your mouth, through your taste buds, through your eardrums, and your perceptions. And I'm going to start off with our first evaluation, which is being done by Eunice for tomorrow's speech.
A point of order, fellow Toastmasters, evaluators have 2 to 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Tamara, thank you for taking us on that intergalactic journey. And I absolutely enjoyed your outfit and the question that you posed coming up saying to take or not to take. Now, my mind was not on Shakespeare, so it's a good thing that you brought us in And I know that the outfit with the hat was very engaging and was an eye opener as you floated around the planetarian connection. And you did, in terms of explaining your the leadership skills and inspiring other artists, you did a good job on connecting the dots on that. As you talked about the experience at Masters of Evaluations and Toastmasters. The vocal variety was good. I love the gestures that you put in there and the fact that you were standing and moving around, which further engaged the audience. You also looked into your camera. You were humorous. At some points, I was laughing at you at what you were sharing with us. And I also, if I could make one suggestion, that would be with the audio. I turned off my camera because I was busy leaning in because I didn't want to miss anything. And if I have, and you pose that question at the end, by all means, please represent us in the interplanetary competition. Please do. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Eunice. Wonderful. And next we have our Ray, who is going to be evaluating the speech by John Graham. So Ray, I would like some extra rich frosting from you, please.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Were we treated to a feast of well-being this evening? Yes, I think we were. John, you were absolutely masterful, well prepared. You never spoke at the beginning. Then you came to us with your humour. Who had a monkey? We knew we were going to get a story of value and humour. And you took us on that journey of Baba and Mr. Crow. I'm going to tell you what I liked and what I loved about the presentations, perhaps some areas for improvement. First of all, I love the story of the monkey. You bought a what? What a great bit of vocal variety. You leaned in, using your hands, and raised the tempo of your voice. You talked about the animated Barbie and your pictures supported the banana-loving teenager. And we all learned something today, that monkeys go up. Now here's a phrase I never thought I'd hear in Toastmasters, and please feel free to repeat it with me. How to walk a monkey. How to walk a monkey. I don't think I'm ever going to hear it again, but it was fantastic. It was rich, it was diverse. The crow, how he dived in the NFL, and then the voiceover. Mr. Crow and Baba, dun dun dun. So how do we take a good speech and get it swinging from the trees? Well, number one, your setup. Perhaps, if I may, might just need to be a bit smoother at the beginning. The audience, we were left just wondering what's going on. Is this a technical glitch? He hasn't unmuted. We can't hear anything. Perhaps just give the audience that moment to say, I'm just setting things up. Have no fear, I'll be on stage in 2 seconds. Secondly, the thank you at the end of the speech. A thank you always loses its strength at the end of a presentation. Now, perhaps you can come back to that question you asked us at the beginning. Raise your hand if you had a monkey. Perhaps your ending would be, now raise your hand if you want a monkey. How to make a good story? Well, to make a good story, if you want to be a great hero, you need a great opponent. And we had it today with Mr. Crow and Baba. In summary, it was well displayed with slides. You ticked all the boxes for body language, variety, vocally, and humour. And it flowed well with super sounds from the jungle. This was a great story and can be passed on from apes to eagles, chimps to doves, and Toastmasters as well. Back to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Ray. You even gave us some nice citrus zest on top. Thank you. Well, Vicki, we know that you are spoiled rotten by your husband who makes wonderful desserts and pastries, and I know that you're going to deliver up just as lovely of a treat for Pamela. Vicky.
Well, Pamela, what I'm delivering to you today is a cannoli. That is what this speech is going to be framed around. So those of you who don't know, it's an Italian dessert. It's fried dough with custard in the center and usually pistachios or something on the end. So let me deliver my response to you in this form. You talked about fight, flight, freeze, and I just added fry. You fried this up so masterfully. And what I loved was that you really showcased how to go from distraught to well-being. Well done. As I told you, I was going to be looking for structure. And your structure was beautiful. You started strong with questions to the audience. You told us the story, and then you kept going. It was a longitudinal study, so to speak. You went from the oldest time to the newest time, and then you gave us lessons. There were some things in this that I think you can do even better. And one is how you use your voice. When you were loud for a lot of this, you are intense and you're passionate. Lower your voice when you say, I was shattered. It was more like, I was shattered. Well, shattered does not sound shattered when it's not shattered. And you whispered when you talked about your mother saying, if you gain weight, the boys won't like you. That was an effective use of your voice. When you talked about the letter you'd written so many times, I missed, and then you put it in the mail, obviously. I would have liked a little more on that letter, like, how many times have I written a letter to this guy? And this time I finally put it in the mail. Just a little. I missed that connection a little bit. When you held the phone up, I'm giving you all this stuff. You know, I'm not holding back here. When you held up the phone and you said, I'm sorry, it was in your voice. A better way to do it would to say, and he said, I'm sorry. And then take the phone down and look at the camera. And I said, I accept it. Did you say it came farting out of my mouth? F-A-R-T? So that's rock and roll from the 70s. I heard farting out of my mouth. I said, no, she did not say that. So good to know you didn't say that. Loved your gestures. When you talked about the dominoes, all those things really add to the visual. Well done. I want you to go back and watch this video on our YouTube channel without watching it. I want you to listen to it. And then I want you to watch it without listening. And then I want you to do all three. Near the end, let me see how am I doing on time. Near the end. Oh, I'm out. Okay, I'm out. I will give you more feedback. Thank you. Please, Sam. Good job.
Thank you, Vicky. Excellent, excellent. And I love that we are all maybe a little crumbly on the inside, but we won't crumble under the pressure of our evaluations. Harold, how did we do on time? If you could just give us a summation on to anybody that went over or under.
You know, as Toastmasters, you're so skillful about your time. No one went over. First, for Eunice was under 1 minute, 14 seconds as a timer. Who's an outstanding speaker, only used 40 seconds. And Sandra was 42 seconds in evaluating. Now, let me confess, some of your speeches were so fascinating. I found myself, I said, God, I better find these people. Anyway, that's your time.
Thank you, Harold. And Jesper, I know I didn't use the word well-being, but I feel a lot better after today. Would you let us know how we all did on our word of the day and any grammatical gems or germs?
First off, I want to give a quick shout out. Now you can't see it through the camera, but quick shout out to our Toastmaster of the day. My hands are cramping because of the number of times I had to mark the amount she used the word of the day. So Toastmaster Shawnte 1,000 points for being so amazing at using our word of the day, well-being. Thank you to everyone who did use the word today. I would have loved to hear it a little bit more, but we did okay today. And let's test your listening skills. And can you see my screen? Perfect. Now let's figure out who said what. I felt like I had just walked into yoga class. Who said that?
Was that John?
That was my evaluator, I thought.
That was actually Baku.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
That's right.
How well do you forgive yourself?
Pamela.
Pamela.
That is Pamela. Perseverance came to mind.
Sandra.
That was Sandra.
Mhm.
Continue with us in such good style.
Camera.
Oh,
That was David Thompson.
yes.
We need to go 3D here, folks.
Sandra.
No. Yeah.
Sandra.
That was Sandra.
Yeah.
You do need to look into the future with being positive.
Pat.
John, John.
That was Pat.
Pat, P-A-T.
Sorry.
Be right here in the moment. Be right here in the moment.
Can I call out myself on that one?
Yes, that was you, Sheila.
Okay.
Great job. You should relax and let yourself live into the moment.
Oh,
So Trudy?
That was Trudy.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Pamela.
Pamela.
And Vicky.
And Vicky, yeah.
You bought a what?
John Graham.
Ray.
That was John Graham.
And Ray.
They wanted to
Ray.
control our thoughts.
Tamara.
Yeah.
That was Tamara. When I put that letter in that mailbox, it was so freeing.
Pamela.
Pamela. I received an invitation to participate in the Interplanetary Evaluation Contest.
Mara.
Maybe a cephalopod?
John.
John.
That was actually John Graham.
Yeah.
I was laughing with you.
John White usually says that.
Yeah.
It was actually our evaluator, Eunice.
Oh,
Ha! In silence.
Not Vicky.
no.
That.
That was Tamara.
Ah.
Breathing the good in, breathing the bad out.
Sheila.
Sheila. And the final piece of our dinner tonight,
Shawnte.
Shawnte. Watching our entire world open up in a whole new way.
Pamela.
Pamela. Is that in the NFL playbook?
I never heard that.
John.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah, it was John, yeah.
Were we treated to a feast of well-being? Yes, we were.
That'd be Shawnte.
Okay.
No.
Sandra.
And Ray.
That was actually Ray.
Oh.
So great job, everyone. We were treated to a feast of well-being today.
Thank you, Jasper. And that was a lot of fun. I love that you sprung that on us. We weren't prepared, and yet we obviously were paying attention. And our evaluators did a great job of paying attention to their speakers. And like I said, we went from 2D to 3D. We got your feelings and your reactions, and that's the most important gift we can give to each other. I just want to quickly just sum up the meeting as a whole. I love that we respected the time. We're just a few minutes over, but that's important that we respect each other's time and our schedules that are going forward. We had great word usage, a great theme. Thank you, Shawnte. And our evaluators did an outstanding job. Again, we are not fragile. We need your feedback because that's the only way that we will be able to get our message across, like the important message that Pamela gave us today, to more and more people that need to hear it. So back to you, Shawnte.
Thank you so much for that. I told you guys we were going to get our fill today. So thank you, Sandra, for that amazing recap. And thank you to your amazing team. And thank you to all of you for sharing. Thank you for Judith for the amazing table topics. And just thank you to our speakers. It was an absolutely amazing full meeting today. And thank you all for embracing the theme of mental health today. It is an important topic that unfortunately doesn't get talked about enough. So just be mindful of that as you go through May. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I will, for the sake of time, not go into a full monologue, but I will turn it over to our amazing president so that he can give his final words. John, you have the floor. No roll.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for adding to my well-being. It was a great meeting. Not much time. Let's just check in with the guests real quickly. Trudy, first of all, Shawnte, our VP of membership, has promised she will connect with you. So you will be a member soon. So that next week, next time we meet, we have an induction for 2 members. That's why we like to do it. So
yeah, I did call in. Somebody said it will call me back because I wanted to pay my fees. And nobody called me back. I was trying to fill out the form, and for some reason, it wasn't going right, so I called. Anyway, just tell me.
Minutes.
It'll happen. It's old programming. We're taught to try to play hard to get, Trudy, and that's what we were doing. But we know that you really want it, and we're going to do it. So thank you. Thank you for your patience. On to our next guest, hopefully a member. Breathe in, breathe out, jump in, write the check. Sheila LaChance. What were your thoughts of the meeting?
Thank you. This definitely has increased my well-being. I know it's too late for pints, but honestly, it really did. So I thank you, everybody, from the bottom of my heart.
It was great seeing you. And Anne, what'd you think of the meeting?
I've been very glad to participate, and this is the very first time. So, I'm picking up on the way you are conducting it and what is expected from the audience. So, next time I will be more active, I hope.
Yeah, come back, be active. I won't badger about joining. I'll save that for our next meeting in May, maybe June even. Let's see, is there any other guests that I've missed? I believe that is all. Let's look into our schedule for May of 2017. Shawnte Howard is running for Program Quality Director, and I'm running for Club Growth Director. And if you want to know about our qualifications, if you want to know more about us, there's a showcase on Thursday, the 16th, where we'll be asked questions we know nothing about. So it's a 3-day affair. Frankly, if you're into speeches, the 18th is the one to go. But if you just want to support your fellow MOEers and leadership, the 16th and 17th are an option. And 2 of the members, the president and VPE, will have votes on the candidates. Shawnte, what did I miss?
You actually did a really good job. Yes, the 16th is the showcase. It's very important because we do get 2 votes for MOE to vote on who is going to be the next leaders of the district. So if you want to see not just us, but all the leaders will be giving speeches and interviewing on the 16th. The business meeting is on Zoom. John, and who's the VPE? I'm sorry.
Who's sorry?
I should know that.
Sandra.
Sandra. John and Sandra will be able to go to the Zoom. Everybody else can watch the business meeting on YouTube. It will be streamed live so that you can actually see the business meeting and see how they're voted and who is voted in. Vicki, you have a question or a comment?
Got a comment. I am serving as the Toastmaster for the International Speech Contest on the 18th. So I will be in LA. So I want to see my LA peeps.
Nice. I enjoyed it. All right. Well, it was a great meeting. From my thumbs up that Vicki Travas provided me. Have a great time. And if you have a vote, vote wisely.
You know what? I'm going to bring some of these. You talk about tchotchkes, Judith. I'm bringing them for MOE members. Just look for me and I'll give you one of these.
Right.
All right. Are we good?
That's it.
Very good.
Thank you, everyone. It's great seeing you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for hanging out, Ann.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great weekend. Good luck to you.